Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the Infatuasian podcast. Got another fun one for you. Another chin. Another chin for the win. I know. People are like, how did you find all these chins? Well, you know, when you have the last name of Chin, you kind of notice it. And this is a special one because we're talking to Justin Chin today, and he's a former student of mine. And I'll talk about that in a second. We go all the way back to the 90s. So I haven't seen Justin since he graduated, probably in 1999. So it's been a minute since we've chatted, but it was really, really fun catching up and talking a little bit about old times, but really asking him and hearing about his journey from high school to the Marines to fitness training to training to be a sommelier to working at some of San Francisco's best restaurants like Gary Danko and Spruce. And now he's worked his way up to being the general manager of one of San Francisco's buzziest and hottest restaurants. It's called The Happy Crane, and it's kind of a modern take on Chinese cuisine. And it's right in the heart of the city down in Hayes Valley, and it is one of the hardest reservations to get. We'll talk a little bit more about how that works. But yeah, it was just really fun. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. And so we're going to get to the episode with Justin Chin, General Manager of the Happy Crane, right after this. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Infatuasian podcast. This is one of my favorite things to do on the podcast is to chat with a former student of mine. This is kind of like a chance to catch up. And so we're going to talk to a former student of mine from way back. Like, we'll talk about it in a second. But back in the 90s, it's Justin Chin. Justin is an advanced sommelier, currently the general manager at the Happy Crane, which we'll talk about more in a second. And last but not least, he's a Chin, and we're doing a whole month of people named Chin, so this is perfect. The timing could not have been more perfect with this. But hey, welcome to the show, Justin.
Thanks, Curtis. Yeah, good catching up with you after all this time.
Yeah, we were chatting a second ago. We think it's been about 25 years since we've.
Yeah, graduated in '99 for Galileo, so it's about right.
Yeah, and you guys are special to me because I started your freshman year was my first year. And so I've kept in touch with a bunch of people from class of 99 because when you graduated, it felt like an accomplishment for me too to kind of graduate with you as my fourth year. But yeah, it's been a minute, and we have a funny kind of a funny story. Was so everyone out there knows I keep in touch with Cynthia from On Waverly Bookstore, and she was texting me. And she was like, "Oh yeah, we met this cool guy. He's the manager at Happy Crane. His name is Justin Chin." And it took me a minute, but I was like, "Wait, that name sounds really familiar." And I said, "I think that's my student." She's like, "Yeah, we knew that." How did you guys get on the topic? You started talking about San Francisco and Galileo?
Yeah, absolutely. She asked a lot of like, are you from the area? I'm like, yeah, I'm born and raised, and I think our connection was I grew up here, and I'm really trying to represent the Chinese community and culture, especially at this point in my life, and my mom jokes about it, like she's like, son, you've never been so pro Chinese or proud. Like I've always been like that, but I never had a platform, I guess, to do that. So here we are
Mm.
now, and you already talked about dating us, and graduating in class of '99, and I'm in my 40s now,
Yeah.
and I really never had that opportunity to represent. So I really want to have this chance to do it justice. Like the last 20 years, going from the military, working in restaurants, I've always been the minority. And that's the truth. I come from classic fine dining, and I'm always one of the few Asian cats in there. So I definitely felt a little bit alone at sometimes, but I think that's
Mhm.
definitely changing in the last, I think, even more 5 to 7 years or so. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Let's dig into that a little bit. So, grew up in the city. Um, But yeah, you grew up in kind of like so Galileo back in the for people who don't know, Galileo pretty Chinesey, quite a few Chinese kids. But so elementary school, middle school, were you in the North Beach Chinatown area a lot?
Yeah, I grew up in North Beach. I went to Garfield Elementary, and then I went to
Mhm.
Francisco for middle school.
Okay. People think it's funny that even though like I grew up in the city too, even though we were surrounded by Chinese kids, we didn't like I didn't necessarily kind of similar to you, maybe lean into my culture that heavily until I was an adult, like I didn't really get interested in it. Going to Chinatown wasn't a joy to me. It was kind of a chore, I had to go to a banquet or something.
It's funny you said that because, as any Asian or Chinese kid, I had to commit to a full afternoon program, for Chinese school, at St. Mary's, and I'm being honest, I hated it. I couldn't wait for the end of Friday so I could just have some weekend liberty for freedom to, just do my own whether it was hang some hoops at the North Beach playground or just play some video games. I remember just thinking about that, but, like, now, like, looking back, I'm so appreciative, and I think I made it all the way to, like, the 8th grade at St. Mary's, for
Uh-huh.
Chinese school. So
Yeah.
whatever I learned, for Cantonese, and I even picked up a little Mandarin in, high school at Galileo for 3 years. I didn't even think, I could get by with that, and, like, I went to Beijing in 2008, I was like, "Holy crap, I'm actually using this stuff," and that was huge. So that's the first time it actually clicked for me. I was like, "Wow, okay." 'Cause, I'm very grateful that I did it.
That's a common story. I've heard that a couple times where I don't know anyone who liked it because it's after school or Saturdays, right? No one likes it, but the common theme a lot of times is either I should have paid more attention or it totally paid off for me now, because we're in this global world now. And anytime you could reach out to someone other than in English, it's pretty powerful and useful.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm very, grateful for that. Even, like, I just saw my, cousins and, relatives in Hong Kong just last year, and just be able to converse with them and keep up on the same dialogue and the speed of the lingual, like, they were all like, "Dang, I can't believe your Cantonese is still so good." Like, they're almost, like, kinda judging me, because I'm an American,
Yeah,
and that made me feel pretty good. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah. All right, so you alluded to this earlier, and actually, it's fun. I do remember this about you is that in my class we had two Justins.
fun.
We called Big Justin Chuan, and we called you Marine Corps Justin because you were really into ROTC in high school. You were kind of like,
No, that was actually my wife, Marianne. She was in ROTC. I was just
oh,
in a lot of sports, but I already enlisted. Like my senior year, I was already signed up.
ah,
So that's what it
okay,
was. Like I think I enlisted. It was crazy. I think it was like the fall of 1998. Before
okay,
graduating, and like I just knew. Like I signed up.
huh,
Uh, my parents had a heart attack when I told them that I
huh,
wanted to join the Marine Corps because, as any Asian parent, their expectations like, you're going to Berkeley. And I'm like, no, that's not me.
huh,
I think my childhood, I was forced to have the grades, and I really started feeling the burnout in high school, and that's just the truth. And
yeah,
I think that they realized it kind of backfired on them. My dad was probably the most disappointed at the time, but I think where they see me at now, and with my own family, and 25 years later from that, they're very happy and more surprised than anything. I don't think that one shoe fits all with the traditional. You got to be forced to have perfect grades and then do your thing at college and then be successful. So
huh. Yeah, that's interesting advice because well, we'll get into your career path in a second. It's a little non-traditional, but we'll get into
not
that. So,
traditional at all. And then like our kids are like back on track to
okay.
what. Yeah, my kids are definitely back on track to what the typical Asian parents would expect, and you know what's funny? There's no pressure with them, like, we're the
Right.
opposite, like, at least I am. I'm not a tiger dad or tiger parent, you know what I mean? These kids are
Yeah.
self-motivated, they've good grades since, like, elementary, and, like, we never really pressed them, they're on their own. The only thing I'm kinda worried about is probably my son. Right,
Boys.
reminds me a little bit like me. I was like, "Oh, man, was this me back in when I was 13?" It's like,
Uh-oh.
"Probably, but I gotta let him do his thing a little bit." And he's playing the video games right now as we speak, so
Okay, okay. All right, so you go from kinda Chinatown, North Beach area in San Francisco, surrounded by majority Asians, if not Chinese, to the Marine Corps. Where were you stationed?
yeah, so I was in, Camp Pendleton. I was with 3rd Battalion, 1st Marines, and I was
Okay,
definitely the minority, in my platoon, company, you name it. I was probably one of 3 Asian guys. Yeah.
okay. Did you enjoy it, though? Did you enjoy it at first?
Yeah, yeah, it gave me in the beginning, I think I went to boot camp at 17, and I was in MCRD San Diego, and it was, like, in the summer, it was hot, we're training super hard, physically, all that. And I remember having my birthday there in boot camp. No one cares. But
You're
then
right.
one of the saddest moments of my birthday was like you would see where our bunkers are, where we stay. There's called squad bays, and you could see the fireworks every night because of I think SeaWorld is right across from us.
Oh,
So you're kind of in cross paths with seeing SeaWorld and the airport, and you see planes fly by and in every night and
huh.
fireworks are going off. So I think people were getting homesick. I think we even had one guy try to escape boot
Oh,
camp. Like he tried to
no.
jump over the gate. I'm dead serious. He tried to jump over
Yeah.
the gate, and I was like, it's not that bad. And, like I guess some of the reference was they feel like they're in prison because they didn't have any liberty. But yeah, I thought it was a fun summer camp with all the intensity. But it really gave us like the structure at that point and the responsibility. Yeah.
Yeah. And you felt like you needed that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I always felt like I was forced to work hard, um, from my parents and all that. But this was totally different. Like the sense of responsibility and having actual like a team, actual teammates, and camaraderie with all these people. I think we graduated with like maybe 75 Marines, and we started with 100. So the attrition rate is definitely there. It's obviously not the easiest for everyone, and it's a lot more mental than physical, if you ask me, because they do a lot of stuff that I don't think I'm allowed to say.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I took it all in well, and I hate to say it, but I think my I blame my dad. He had something to do with that. Like he was very hard on me, and then,
Uh,
I do this thing with boot camp, and there are these drone instructors yelling and screaming at you. They are getting physical. I thought it was just like another walk in the park, and I kind of laughed it off, and I got in trouble for that too. So I wasn't the
uh,
most disciplined kid in my platoon during boot camp, but that definitely like turned around by the end of it when I graduated. I think I was the most improved recruit that became a Marine, so I got promoted at the end of boot camp for to private first class with a stripe. So
nice. I've read Roy Choi's book, from Kogi Kogi in LA, and Roy Choi didn't go to the service, but he went to military school. His parents he was screwing around so much, his parents threatened him to send him to military school, and then they sent him to military school, and he said that he needed that. Like he needed those boundaries, and he kind of needed someone yelling at him to get him back into shape and stuff like that. So
yeah, it's different. Like I see like my kids now and the different maturities of that age, and I think my daughters are very mature for their age. 19 and 21, pretty much. But like when I was 19 to 21, I was training for combat, not knowing I was going to
uh
combat. I made sergeant. I was in Iraq when I was 21.
oh wow,
So I ran my own squad, and all the responsibility, all the stress, the pressure was there. I'm like 21, but like, these 12 guys are under me, and I'm responsible for their lives and well being. So like that
yeah.
was in my head, and what 21-year-old is going to think like that out here? No one, right? So that really will force the maturity into you.
Mm-hmm. Then just snooping around your LinkedIn, then you get into kind of fitness training and doing more kind of fitness stuff.
Yeah. So originally, the plan was after in the Marine Corps, my first enlistment, I was already married with Marianne, and
Former Galileo student.
yep, yep, another Gallus. That's how we met, and I was really thinking I was going to re-enlist. I had to just think back how this was going about, I I had this sense of like responsibility, and I felt like my job wasn't done after my first round in Iraq, and like I had to go back with my platoon. And she said no, pretty much. Yeah,
Mhm.
she was like, it's me or the Marine Corps," and of course I chose my wife, you know. So
I think you chose well. I think you chose well.
it was the best decision that I made for both of us. Yeah. But since then, like when I got out, like what do I do? I was good at a couple of things, honestly. You know,
Yeah.
I was very good with weapon skills, and
Okay.
I was in great shape. So that's not too many options. And my first choice, believe it or not, was I'm connected with some of my relatives that have people in SFPD, and it's like I'll join SFPD and I'll join the SWAT team after 3 years, right? In the probation period, whatever you call that.
Uh-huh.
She was like, no. It's like, but I remember saying this. This is how young and stupid I was. Like, but babe, I'm really good at blowing stuff up. I'll kick the doors. I'm good at sliding off helicopters. So we did all that, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm great with that. So not now. I'm in my 40s now, so I'm way past my time. But coming out of Iraq and 22 and just a young gun, I thought I was invincible. So that was my mentality, and that has changed a lot since then. But okay, so I can't do that. Can't blow stuff up. Can't shoot. What I do? It's like, and I was like working out at the gym at 24, and I remember this guy at the front desk like, "Hey, you think about ever being a trainer?" I'm like, "Dang, I just kind of just want to check in and just get my workout in, right?"
Uh-huh.
And I really had to think back, and his name was David Rodenberg. I'll never forget that. He's like, "Hey, dude, you should really consider becoming a trainer and stuff." And I still was like, "What the hell is this all about?" So I was like, "All right, I'll check it out." And then as I kept going back to the 24-hour fitness when I was returning for my deployment, and I was done. I was on terminal leave. Uh, they kept approaching me. It's like, "Hey, man, we've been watching you work out, and you're in really good shape. Da 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 da. But like, you should consider like interviewing with us for a training position." And I actually just said, "Can I just do something chill, like a front desk job?" And yeah, I wasn't looking for work. I just wanted to relax and get my time back for a little bit.
Yeah.
And they really pressed it. So I was like, "All right, I'll take the damn interview." And I had no resume. Like like my one sheet was like the Marine Corps and
Yeah,
everything I did. They were like, "You're hired." I was like, "Really?" I'm like, I had no training background,
right.
and they actually like groomed me, which is pretty cool. They offered all the training academies. Like you had to sign up, for training
Mm.
courses. They actually did an in-house training at the time, which was very good, in depth, and you had to get certified. So I did all that, and then I really got hooked. I got really good, consistent clients. I was very militant with my training back then. I
Uh-huh.
don't I would definitely change how I do things now, based on where I'm at in my career, but I remember I was that guy. Everyone could hear me just, shouting down at the client. I was very tough. I was hardcore, and I thought I was gonna get in trouble at one point, and I remember these gals would come in, "Were you the guy that was screaming at your client and, like, kicking the water bottle?" Like, "Yes." And I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be an HR issue," and then yeah, and that was me, and then it's like, "Can you do that to us?
Oh.
Are you for real?" And they signed up, and they did, like, a half a year program with me, and, like, I couldn't believe that. Even, like, the sales clerks and the other trainers, like, "What the hell was that?" Like, so I guess there was a demand for that. I've always been like, "No BS, and I'm gonna get it
Yeah.
done." If you tell me you need to, get to a certain weight or you wanna hit a certain goal, and you give me a timeline, I do have these expectations and, like, requirements because I had a plan to execute it and get to the results. So the success rate was very good of my clients, but the demand was also very high for them. So but they all got there. I didn't really have too many bad apples, and the ones that were unrealistic, they definitely fizzled out, didn't make it.
Oh, man. You know what? I feel like I would kinda need that to get in shape, but at the same time, I wouldn't want that. You
Yeah, yeah. My approach is very much different now. Trust me. It's
Okay.
20 years later.
Yeah, a little drill sergeant in you.
Yeah, yeah. That's not who I am anymore.
Yeah, well, let's do this shift. We have this So you're
Yeah.
yelling at women in their spandex, and then you end up in food and beverage. How'd you get into
Yeah.
F&B?
Yeah, so we'll fast track this. I don't wanna bore anyone. So after at one point from my, employment at 24 Hour Fitness, I made really good friends with, 2 of my buddies who I do still stay in touch with, DJ and, Steve, and we were like, "Screw it, we should be doing our own thing." And we found a spot right across the street from the 24 Hour Fitness, and it's just a little studio space, and my buddy DJ jumped on it first, signed on the lease. He was the main, I think he was the senior partner of the company.
Uh-huh.
So that he started taking all his clients out there first. I was just wrapping up my time at 24, and then the three of us pretty much did that thing together from 2011 on. That place is still up and running and doing very
Yeah.
well. It's called Fit Life Training Studio on Bay Street.
A couple blocks from Gal.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So DJ's still running the show over there. His clients are always consistent and steady, and people are pretty happy there. It's it's really private. I think that's why people are
Uh,
choosing that. They feel safer there. They're no, when you go to a chain gym, you get some weirdos like lurking and looking at you.
yeah,
And they're
sure,
just
sure.
it's just weird. And then you're waiting for equipment, all that stuff. Like
Mhm.
even now, I still go to a 24 Hour Fitness, and I'm like there. I'm like, Jesus, I gotta wait 20 minutes for like a barbell to get into the
Yeah,
squat rack. So
yeah.
so yeah, I kind of get that accessibility. But yeah, during the time of my private gym days, that's when I really got into wine because my clients from the gym, very low key, but very successful. I mean, I had these clients drive like Bentleys and all
Uh-huh.
these crazy, just
Yeah.
luxury cars, and I knew they had the dough, but I always was respectful of it. And then, I would just start getting like gifts for like Christmas and like my birthday, but they're just always like wine. Everything was like, I didn't even have a wine shelf or wine fridge at the time, and
Uh-huh.
I was told to get one, so I did. But like, I'll never forget it. My first champagne that I ever received was Louis Roeder Cristal, which is one of the best bottles of champagne you can get out there, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know what that was, and I had it, and I was like, "Holy crap, this is amazing. This is what champagne tastes like, and this is awesome."
Uh-huh.
And then this next guy named DJ Malum, he's British. He's like, "Hey mate, I got a bottle of Dom Rosé for you, 96, and that should be better than the Cristal." And sure enough, I was like, "Wow, this is rosé." Like I thought rosé was like, it's like it's a girly drink because it's pink.
Yeah.
But this is awesome too. So we, popped that, and then someone brought a bottle of Veuve Clicquot from Safeway. I'm like, what's this nonsense? And that was the most disappointing bottle. Hey, sorry, being honest. And so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
go from these top tiers, and then you go back to that. It's like drinking club soda. So that was kind of like my first exposure to wine, and it kept coming. And I knew these bottles were not cheap. They were just all like iconic luxury bottles that I had no business with, and I really just wanted to be appreciative and like do respect to everything that I was receiving. And I asked someone actually who became my client. He was at the gym, and his name is Cole. He's a really good friend of mine. And I said, "Hey man, can you teach me about wine because you work in restaurants? Well, you got to become a sommelier." And I was like, "What was that? Like, the hell is a sommelier?" And he just laughed, and he's like, "Look, here's some books. Like these courses coming up. Let's sign you up if you're serious." And I was, like once I'm in it, I think that's what people know about me is like I'm all in. I don't halfway anything. So
Yeah.
I did it. I took these courses, and I started reading the books, and I got really into it. And I was like, "Holy hell! This is pretty cool." Like the foundations. Like I thought it was just grapes, and it's more than that.
Yeah.
It had a lot to do with like history and culture and the food, and wars were fought, and I got really into that. So I took my first course, I passed, and then Cole was like, "Hey, there's this exam in like 8 weeks, and if you're crazy enough to do it, we should crank together." And he helped me out, and I was like, "Let's do it." Like, I have all this data, as minimal as it was, in my head, but I was totally like amped up and I was ready. So we were just cranking for 8 weeks. I was studying the books really hard for my foundational knowledge in wine, and he would come to the gym and pour me these wines to blind taste to train my palate. And my gym partner's like, "What the hell is going on here? It's a gym, dude. It's not a restaurant." And then we would lock the gym for a good hour, and he would take the trays from the restaurant and train me on like actual wine and floor service. So he would create obstacles. Normally you're serving wine and stuff in a higher table setting, and he made it difficult in terms of like throwing medicine balls on the ground. And like I had to like, I remember I was like shifting and like with the tray and like the glasses were like spilling, like it was insane. So it's like, man, I'm not gonna make it. I remember that like opening my first bottle of champagne, the whole thing just exploded. It wasn't even champagne. It was like this cheap, $2 Chuck bubbles from Trader Joe's. He bought a
Uh,
case. I remember he bought a case and he was like, I need you to open that and pour it into the glasses, like 6 glasses deep, and they all had to be even. It just looked like a jigsaw. It was all over the place. It was not good. Bottles are exploding. I was like, hey man, maybe I should rethink this whole like sommelier thing. I don't think I'm gonna make that. But somehow, like along like week 6, it clicked, and my pores are for the first time aligned. I'm like, holy crap, did I just do that? Like, I've never seen that before, right? And then like my bottles didn't explode. I was able to control the opening of the bottle, and that was pretty cool. And that's when I was like, okay, maybe there's hope after all. So I took the exam. I passed, not realizing that the certified exam were meant for restaurant professionals that are actually working in restaurants, and these guys were like studying for 6 months a year, getting ready for the exam, and I did it in like the 8 weeks time after my intro. So
wow.
yeah, Cole was like, "I can't believe you passed." I was like, "You were you thinking there's a chance I was gonna fail?" Like, "Yeah, I didn't." It was a 50-50 for him. So I think he told his team and my chef or his chef at the time about me, and the rest was history. I got my first restaurant job at Gary Danko, which is in
Yeah.
Fisherman's Wharf. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity, and that changed my entire uh, career pretty much.
So yeah, Gary Danko. If you don't know San Francisco, Gary Danko in the 2000s was kind of, I don't want to say the first, but it was definitely one of the ones that really took dining in San Francisco to another level. After we had all these old school places. Now Gary Danko is the old school place, but we had all these old school places in the city. But then when Gary Danko came, it was a little bit of a revelation in the 2000s for San Francisco, I think.
I think yeah, it was the spot.
Yeah.
Like when I showed up as an employee with no former like restaurant background, there's like you're the first person with no restaurant experience to be here. I'm like, great.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So
Yeah,
so I,
no.
I could feel the judgment, and but again, like I have a military background. I just kept my head down. Uh,
Yeah.
yes chef, no chef, and that culture is definitely changing. I don't think that's appropriate anywhere you go anymore. But um, yeah, it felt like home. The intensity was there. Yeah, it was a high demand. It was fast paced. You really had to think on your feet, and I had no habits, so there were no bad habits. And whatever they told me to do, I did, and I did it right pretty much the first time. So that's when it felt like, okay, this is maybe the place I want to be for the long haul. Not so much the restaurant itself, but the industry. Yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting because I was seeing the parallels right away. Now I've never worked in a fast paced kitchen, but I've seen it on TV and I've seen
yeah,
enough to know that it's a little bit like the military. Maybe especially back in the 2000s. A little bit of yelling, definitely. Stay in line. Everyone has a job. No one, you can't let down your team. That kind of aspect.
yeah. No, it really is that. Like especially the kitchen, it's very intense. So my first year at Gary Danko, I was a food runner, which is the foundational element for any restaurant job. You're learning all the menu items and the plates. and
Mhm.
you're bringing it to the guests. And then I think 6 months in, they's like, "Hey, it's time for you to, you know, move up in your role, and you're the expediter." I'm like, "What the hell is that?" And like I knew what it was, but he's like, "You sure?" It's I only been here for 6 months. Like, "Oh, you're ready, dude." And they just threw me in the wolves den, and like that that took me out. It was like the hardest thing I've ever done. Even still to this day, going back into certain times to expedite, like it's still a very hard job. So people don't know what expediting is. You're the liaison between the service team and the kitchen, and all the tickets and the orders coming in on the printer. You have to call all those things out and track all the cooking and firing times and make sure it gets back out to the service, to the tables of the guests at exactly the way it's supposed to be, regardless if there's allergies, temperature requirements, restrictions, all that. So
Yeah.
that was very high stress.
Yeah. Go watch The Bear. If you wanna know what an expo desk go go watch
Do
The
you
Bear.
remember that scene?
Yeah.
Carmen's like, "Get the F off my expo line." It's like, "Oh, that sounds so familiar." Yeah.
Well, that's what Dave you do you ever listen to Dave Chang's podcast?
A few.
Yeah, he broke down The Bear, and he said he really liked it. He says probably obviously the most realistic, what it's
It
like
is.
working in a restaurant, but he also said it gave him PTSD. Like, he was sweating watching the show.
Yeah, no, like, my heart rate would come up. I'm like, "Man, that's like." I was like, "No," definitely on the edge of my seat. It's like, "Holy crap, like, this is legit," like, and
Yeah.
then I would eat right like, "No, what? Why?" Like, and, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
my heart rate's getting up. And my wife's like, "What the hell are you doing, man?"
Yeah.
And, like, my kids got to see some of it, and they always had these, questions, and, they ended up working in a restaurant with me for a short stint, so they had a huge appreciation. I think anyone, regardless of your age group, like, especially
Yeah.
earlier on, if you have the opportunity, you should definitely work in a restaurant, no matter what if it's a cafe,
Yeah.
or a large volume restaurant, just a short stint, so you can appreciate and realize how much hard work it really is. And when you
Yeah.
go out to dine, you give a little bit of leeway to the people working there, and there's
I
a
I
lot more about an understanding. That's what I've seen versus people who haven't worked in restaurants yet.
Yeah, 100% agree. Like I did a year at UC Davis. It's a Korean restaurant,
Eh?
and it was the cook was the wife, then the husband kind of ran the back of house, and then I was the one guy in the front. Well, he was floating between, but I was the one server, and yeah, it's when you get that party of 12, or you get a bunch of people coming
Right.
in at once. Yeah, it's fun, but it's also yeah, it's pretty tough. It's good experience though, like you said, everyone should do it at least once in your life.
Yeah, yeah, and then, like, I think both my kids have a lot of perspective after doing their short stint with me at Spruce, and, like, who has an opportunity to do that? They're in the same boat as I was, no business in the restaurants, just watching the bear, and they had their shot because I think I was joking about it to my general manager at the time and director of operations at Spruce, like, my kids are just watching the damn bear, and they're asking all these questions about coming in. And then I remember his name is Chris Tang. He's like, he's Australian Chinese, and he's like, "Hey mate, kid's got the chops." And then Patrick Lemon was my general manager. He was like, "I trust you more than anyone else. Let's bring him in."
Huh.
And started with Annabelle first. She was the first test run. If it wouldn't work out for her, yeah, Melina would never have showed up. So I prepped her, and this is probably the one time I was a tiger parent. It's like, hey, this is not summer camp. This is the real thing. This is your
Yeah.
chance. You got to take this with all seriousness. And I gave her the menu. I gave her a copy of the floor plan with the table and seating assignments. She memorized every single thing. And when she showed up for the stage interview, she started from start to finish with like the amuse and all the way to the last course, and spieled everything to my general manager at the time. He just dropped his jaw. He's like, "What the hell was that?" It's my kid,
He's
man.
like, she's a chin. She's a
Yeah,
chin.
yeah. So it's Annabelle Chen, and he's like, "You know what? Staging's done." She goes live. Training wheels are up. She just goes live. He gets full tip out. I'm like, "Let's go."
Nice.
And Annabelle, like, she does her thing for this week before going back to UCLA, and then she gets caught. I was like, "Oh my god, Dad, that's the most money." I was like, "No, you're gonna finish college. You're gonna be a doctor. That's exactly what you're still going for. You're pre med. You're gonna finish
Yeah,
it. You're gonna be Doctor
yeah.
Chen. None of this."
None of this.
Yeah, yeah,
No, but that's
yeah.
cool.
Summertime, yes. So she obviously was invited back for winter break, and she did a good 3 weeks, I think, with us at Spruce, and that was our busy season. And she definitely fit in like a natural, and everyone welcomed.
Nice.
Yeah. And then with that, Melina came on that winter, but she went the other route. So I think they got to see two sides of it and had to compare, which is pretty cool. Melina went to the pastry side.
Okay.
So again, no background at all, but she is really tight, and she has like a good, I think, chem and bio background right now in Berkeley. She's very good with like measurements, and when it comes to baking, it has to be precise. It's not like a feel for it kind of deal.
Yeah.
And she crushed it. Even my page chef, Christina, at the time, she was like, "What the hell was that?" I'm like, "What are you talking about, chef? Like, she has no experience." I know. She's doing a better job than most of my people here right now. And yeah, but she's staying in college, chef. That's what you're asking. That's what I said.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, they both did great. They were both appreciated by the entire team, and that was a good experience for them.
Wow. I can tell you're a proud dad. Even even though you don't want them to do it for a living, it's still pretty cool to see, huh?
Yeah, because they maxed out. They gave it their best. There was some mess ups at service with
Yeah.
I would have wanted
Sure.
Annabelle. It happens. Um, but I think the best part of that phase was we commuted together and went home every day together um, as a family of three. That was probably the best time I got to be with them, and they got what I was doing for the first time, and I think they had a
Yeah.
different appreciation. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. All right. Well, we're gonna fast track this a little bit. So you worked Gary Danko and then Spruce and Hina Yakitori as well and other places. But it seems like you just kept rising in the ranks, you know? When did you get the call from what did James call you, or how did you get attached to the Happy Crane?
Yeah, so it actually started out as like an introduction from two of our mutual friends. One is Chef Ken from Sushi Ken, which is on the
Mhm.
Visadero page. He knew James and I knew Ken, and then our friend Angel Wong, who was also just a really supportive regular guest from all our restaurants, and when James was doing the pop ups, and it started with like, hey, you got to meet James because he's doing this new Chinese restaurant coming up, and I think you'd be the right guy for him.
Mhm.
And I didn't know who he was talking about still, and then Angel came about. It's like, hey, you should meet Chef James. Like, this is the second time now, and you guys have a lot of things in common. So, Chef is, he was born in England, but his mom is Cantonese, so he actually grew up in Hong Kong. So he's
Huh?
fluent in Cantonese, and he
Oh
speaks
wow.
really good Mandarin. But you look at him, he definitely looks
Yeah.
more non-Chinese than that. But
He's yeah.
yeah, and then he didn't know what I was doing, and I reached out. I was like, hey, I was told we should meet up for a coffee date and see what's up. And we met up at the mill. We started talking, and it was like a 2 year thing, I think, and we
Huh.
just kept talking. And my specialty was wine, but he's like, I don't need just a wine person. I need a general manager. And I was like, well, I've never done that before. I've been a service manager. That was my current dual role at Spruce. I was a dining room manager and sommelier. That was my role. So I can run a team, but the demands of a general manager are absolutely like that much more. And I was honestly just a little hesitant in the beginning. But for me, I had to get out of my comfort zone, and I just said, screw it. You know what? The fact that this guy's asking for me to become his general manager, it's an opportunity for growth and for my own development. And I said, yes. So I am completely out of my comfort zone right now, which is good. I'm all about that. Yeah, anyone that knows me, I've never done anything the easy way, and hence that's why I'm pursuing the master sommelier exam as well.
Yeah. So we're talking about Chef James Yuen Lung Perry. He's cooked all over the world, London, Hong Kong, mostly Michelin stuff.
Oh yeah, like he's definitely done his time. Like Fat Duck, Bow Innovation, Brew Gin, where else? Bennu. So he has
Menu.
the alumni with Chef Corley, and I think it just made sense for him to take over the Monzer Benjamin spot where
Yeah.
we're at right now. So there's a lot of lineage there.
And one of the buzziest anticipated restaurants in a long time, and it's been getting great press. So congratulations, man! That's pretty cool.
Thank you. We absolutely feel the pressure.
But one of the hardest reservations to get in the city. So everyone in San Francisco knows. If you haven't heard of Happy Crane, how would you describe it? It's modern Cantonese food.
Yeah, it's across the board, and there's definitely some Cantonese focus. But like for example, I think the hottest item, which is even be like the secret menu item, but not because everyone asking for it, is the Peking duck. It's it's probably the best duck I've had in the United States.
Uh huh.
Outside of like Beijing, and chef is really serious about his duck program. You got a custom oven made all the way from New York, and he's limiting. I don't want to give you the number, but he's definitely allocating the number of ducks per night, and that's why it's so hard to get. And you have to be the first ones to request it when you make the reservation on Open Table. So yeah,
That's the way to go. And reservations open up 30 days.
yeah, 30 days from the date. Opens at noon.
So is it a rolling 30 days or is it first of the month or
It's a rolling 30 days.
okay, so you got to plan ahead and you got to be wait, what time of the day? Midnight does it open? What
No,
time?
no, so traditionally I think it is midnight, but we wanted to give everyone like a better opportunity. So 12 o'clock. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of backfiring because I have Open Table like internally, like it's on my phone, my laptop, and like out of my own paranoia, I'm like, look, who's booking right now? And like, the 30-day thing, it's like, holy crap, like opens at noon. It's all booked by 1 p.m.
Easy. Yeah.
So and everyone blasting me, and I have everyone and their mother hitting me up. I'm like, hey, can you give me a reservation for this Tuesday? Are you kidding me? Like that's 2 days out. Like, do you not get
Yeah.
the memo?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you gotta limit your inner circle at that point.
Yeah,
How many
absolutely.
how many how many seats you got in there? How many tables you got?
It's not counting the bar, it's 60 seats,
Okay.
but we can
So
fit, I think, in a full evening, 120, and that leaves room for the bar. So I think, once we extend our hours because of the theater,
oh yeah.
we can probably ramp up to as much as 150, and that's like pushing it. Obviously, we don't want to do that too soon, or we are ramping up, but we want to be mindful of our quality of service and also the guest
Yeah.
experience. We still want everyone to like have a good time. So far, it's been received well, and that makes me feel good. We
Yeah.
want people to come into our place and like just have an incredible time because I think the stereotype for Chinese restaurants, they expect it to be cheap. It's bad service, all the
Yeah.
typical stuff we use here, and at least even what our parents are expecting. But I think
Yeah.
that's definitely shifting because you look at like high end Japanese and Korean restaurants. Yeah, those places are crushing it, right? So why can't we do it for Chinese food? And then you got Mr. Juice in the
Yeah.
forefront, in Chinatown with the first person to actually receive a Michelin star for the Bay for Chinese food. And then we
Yeah.
got Four Kings that they're hot.
Oh yeah.
Four Kings, like that's hard. That's hard to get. So it's not just us, right? It's the
Yeah.
Four King guys. Yeah.
No, I love to see it, and I love to see. I just pulled up the about page for Happy Crane. Most of the top people on the staff are Chinese or Asian. And I love that. I love seeing that because, like you said, the restaurant industry, high end restaurant industry, not necessarily diverse.
Yeah, yeah. Same with the wine world. Things are changing. for the up as well. But like, when I was learning wine, and I was like, man, I'm the only Asian guy here, dude. Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that felt kind of weird. But I also had the best mentors in the last 13 years of my career, and
yeah.
they're very incredible, and I'm still in touch with all of them. So I think I think with a lot of the Asian community or anyone that's wanting to learn wine, they're intimidated because they think it's it's anyone but Asian guys going at it. But I think if you don't ask, you won't ever receive the help. Because when I
Oh,
passed my advanced sommelier exam pre-COVID, everyone hit me up, but they were Asian, and I was like, "Why? Like,
huh.
why are you hitting me up now? Like, we didn't know that you were going for your advance and so on. So we want you to just like, we you like I told these guys that like I don't want to say names, but like, there are plenty of great mentors out there. Yeah, but they're not Asian. I'm like, that's
Huh.
defeats the they just weren't
Yeah.
comfortable with that, which is kind of weird. So that's still there's still a thing with that.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So I love seeing like there's this family tree now is coming off of Brandon Jew and Corey Lee. You're starting to see these disciples take over, and Four Kings we just talked about crushing it, and now Happy Crane. You're starting to see these disciples coming out and doing their own thing.
We're trying, you know.
Yeah.
I think we're definitely pushing the envelope for what it can be because you go to Hong Kong. I was just there last year. Just like anything else, like those restaurants that are all Chinese focused are packed and they have Michelin stars,
Uh huh.
wine's getting poured, they're drinking good stuff. I'm watching this whole thing go down. And at one point I even considered like, okay, after like, COVID hits, we're on lockdown, but like, maybe I would consider going, to Hong Kong and living there.
Huh.
And since I have family there, I think
Yeah.
my wife's against it.
Yeah.
But as a career opportunity, like, I'm very comfortable. I think I could just move out right now and, outside of dealing with the heat in the summer, um,
Right.
yeah, yeah. I
That would
think
be
I
cool.
I I feel like I would fit in there based on my comfortability of speaking Chinese and also just working in restaurants, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, since we are the Infatuasian podcast, got to talk a little bit Chinese food and wine. Not always the easiest. Are there any basic rules for Chinese food and wine?
Yeah, the funny thing was, like, I think during my interview with SF Chronicle, I I actually stated that, people think of Chinese food and wine as an afterthought, and it's still a thing, but it's been a month at the Happy Crane, and we are definitely challenging that notion in a most positive way. The wine list is short, but everything that's on the list is, like, meant to go with the entire menu, and people are
Oh.
realizing and recognizing that. And as a matter of fact, as of the 23rd, which is the end of the month, we are going to have our official wine pairing rollout to support our tasting menu. It's taken this long because I didn't want to rush it. I've been really just kind of looking for again, like perfect wines to go with it. I don't want it to be just another afterthought, like just, okay, this is what it is, this is what we have, and there you go. But I'm very happy with the pairing so far. I'm down to one last wine decision
Okay.
before I confirm the official rollout for the 23rd. But yeah, we're right there. And I think some of the best moments I've had coming into this was actually having Chef James taste what I'm trying to do with his food. And when he tasted it, I could see his reaction. And he's like, "All right, this is what we're doing." I'm like, "Yes." So we're getting it, and I want to see the same reaction with the guests, and that's what I'm really excited for because that's going to be probably the biggest surprise for them. They're probably going to be skeptical of the whole pairing thing until they have it, and they're like, "Wow, that slaps."
Okay.
Wine's a condiment, so if anything, it's going to just elevate your enjoyment experience altogether. Yeah,
Man, I love that. I'm interested. I'm not a huge I don't know that much about wine, but I know what I like, kind of like maybe you 20 years ago. Like, you know
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah,
when you taste it, right? So,
yeah.
just in general, if you're eating like spicy Sichuan food or something really mala or really, really spicy, what do you go with?
Oh, dude, you got to come in. The fact you said mala and you know about Szechuan, we have all that stuff. We have this firecracker shrimp that has a mala glaze. Um,
Okay.
yeah, we you gotta come through, man. Um, there's a couple things. Generally going, it's kind of a generic pairing, but it really works. It's champagne or bubbles. I love
Uh,
champagne. It's
yeah.
just light. Alcohol is not high. It's always refreshing. It's always resetting your palate. It can go the whole way, whether you're having light bites, spicy food. It's really versatile in that sense. It just comes down to the style of the champagne. And not for spice specifically, German Riesling altogether. There's this bad stereotype of Riesling being like too sweet or like desserty. That's not true. There's a lot of German Riesling now, even Austrian. Riesling's made all across the world. They make good Riesling in New York. They make good Riesling in Canada. You name it, it's everywhere now. And they're dry in style. I think the sweetness levels still range from very gentle to being pretty prominent. So depending on the spice level, I would recommend the Rieslings based on that. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the best surprise for guests so far, even now, and it's been a month in, is that they're like, "Wow, this Riesling's really dry." I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "This is awesome." They're just crushing it like Gatorade, and there's no sugar in it. There is, it's like a hint. But I think German Riesling at our restaurant is actually our top seller next to champagne.
All right, Justin, you survived our difficult questions. Are you ready for it's kind of like a lightning round, but we call it a Yao, which is called Your Asian Opinion. So anything that comes to mind, don't think too hard, but go ahead and expand on it as well. All right, first question is who's been the biggest celebrity that's rolled into one of your restaurants while you were working?
Biggest celebrity, the biggest celebrity in any of the restaurants I worked in.
Yeah, anytime.
Oh man, I can go for days.
Okay.
I, like Joe Montana,
Yeah.
uh, artist wise, Miguel, the R&B artist.
Uh-huh.
We've had Sean Stockman from Boys to Men. Those are my memorable ones.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. Number 16 rolled through. Did you come to Spruce or where did you see Joe Montana?
Joe Montana was at Spruce. Sean Stockman and Miguel were at Gary Danko back in the day.
Okay. Nice. And are they nice guys? Big tippers?
Oh, they're great. I
Okay.
remember when Joe actually handed me his black card. He's like, "Hey, make sure I get the bill, huh?" But yes, Mr. Montana.
What's the most memorable bottle of wine you've ever had?
Oh man, that's a hard one.
It could just be something that comes to mind. It doesn't have to be the most.
For me, it would be Richard Leroy. It's a Chenin Blanc from the Loire Valley. Chenin Blanc's my favorite white wine variety.
Not necessarily super expensive, or was it just the moment, or what made it special?
It gave me my aha moment for what that grape and variety is supposed to do. It can be expensive. I think it is expensive, but for me, after being exposed to the wines I've been exposed to, I thought it was quite reasonable. Like there's a bottle of Chardonnay. I had this state the grape like from France and Burgundy that will go for an easy bottle for like 12 grand. Like people like, can you believe that? Right? People are actually,
I know.
and I'm very spoiled. I've sold bottles for five and tens of thousands of dollars, and that's I am a little desensitized from the real world sometimes. But so when I hear a bottle for like three, four, maybe 500, I think it's realistic.
Yeah, you're in a different world, man.
I know, and then well, like that's the thing too. Like I'm not loaded working in restaurants, and I'm not filthy rich or even wealthy, but like I think a big takeaway for anyone is like you won't know it until you try it, and that's a big one. And up to a certain extent, you have to be realistic. I know everyone has financial responsibilities, so do I. Um, but I started with like $50 bottle, then I would have the same exact like style wine. Like, okay, let's try the $100 bottle, and that was like 50-50. Some were like significantly noticeably better, and then you get to the $200 range, like, huh, that hits, but that's not so good. It's all perspective, and I think if you don't ever try it, you just won't know, and then that also gives you a gauge for what true quality is too.
Hmm, hmm. Actually, I didn't ask this question, and this is something that Dave Chang was saying when after watching The Bear, he was just shaking his head like, why would anyone go into food and beverage? Like, it's the most idiotic thing to open a restaurant is the most idiotic thing, but he understands it. making other people happy, giving them an experience that they've never had. Like, what keeps you in food and bev?
Yeah, that's actually a big part of it. Half of it is meeting someone new. I think a lot of my friends now I have maintained relationships are from food and beverage over everything else. Some of our regular longtime customers are also my friends. So it's a commonality where we actually get to bond together over food and wine. I think someone said to me a long time ago. I don't want to mention their names, so don't put on blast. But at the end of the day, or whether you're like the most successful person or just kind of like the working man, it's always going to be over a nice meal and
It
some
is.
good and that's where you guys are gonna bond together the most. And it's true, like, I did that from the military, right? I used to be like a core and was a Coors Light and Jack Daniels
Yeah.
kinda guy. Yeah, like, after a hard day, we say it's Miller time when we would just get together and we would just, slap on the barbecue, we would have the grill going on, and that was, like, the best part of that, and that's when we would get together, and so that was, like, a small version of that, but now, like, just to see guests come into the restaurant and you could hear them like that's the first thing. It's like, it's been a long week. We're ready to celebrate with you. We're just here. It's not a birthday. It's not an anniversary. We just want to have a good time and we want to forget about our day. And well, let us help you do that. And when
Yeah.
they leave happy, that makes my day. And I've been kind of chasing that dragon ever since. And I realized that that's why I want to be in this business.
Yeah, yeah, it's a thing, like, there's just something about it. There's the high that you get from it or the pleasure you get from crushing it is something you can't get anywhere else, like
No,
chefs will
no.
tell you.
Marianne thinks I'm crazy for that, but that's yeah, it's like it's like rinse and repeat. You're gonna do it again,
Yeah,
and create a new one. Yeah.
that's true. Alright, last one is, where do you like to eat in San Francisco when you're not at the Happy Crane?
Oh man, that's home.
Yeah?
Home's Marianne is a great cook. She's no like chef. Based on where I work, but like something about eating at home is like the best thing in the world. She knows I work late, I get home, but she still gives me that time of day and prep a meal for me. And it's like, hey, your steak is in the oven, it's cooking, and there's like a set timer on it. Or the other night, she's actually traveling right now, so I'm at home with the son, but she's like, "Sell me and puppy, yeah, it's ready in the oven. Just make sure you hit the button, bake." Like that's and it still tastes amazing because I know she prepped it, and I don't know what it is about that. It's just comforting. That's what it is.
That's the best answer. That's the best answer.
Yeah, it's just comforting.
Alright, our last question is, who's your infatuation? And infatuation is anyone in the Asian community that you admire, could be living or deceased, someone that you know personally or someone you admire from afar. So Justin Chin, who's your infatuation?
You know what? It'll actually be my grandfather.
Mm,
Yeah, I didn't realize the amount of influence he had on me because I was so young. But I had to think back about. I didn't remember my upbringing with him, and I was a pain in the butt little kid. I gave him a very hard time, and he dealt with me very very well, and I remember that much. Um, but as a child, I always seen him like you know even retired, like busting his butt to take care of me, dealing with my temperaments. And I remember that. But he was always cooking for me too. So that's my first real exposure
huh,
to any food of quality actually. So my grandfather, his name is James, and he actually was a cook on a ship for the merchant marines back in the day. So that was pretty cool. So when I learned about that, he was always just stirring some new stuff every day of the week, and like the guy could cook, man. Like, yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Is it your dad's dad or your mom's dad?
It's my mom's dad, and
Okay, but he's a Chin
point
too
is,
though, right?
yeah, he's a chin. Yeah,
Oh, that's
James
right.
Chin. Yeah, yeah. That's what I mean. It's crazy. Um, so it's a weird thing too. Like there's a side story, but like my lineage of all the boys in the family, starting with my grandfather, it's James. My dad is John. I'm Justin. My son's Jaden. But that's like coincidental. Like I just don't know how that happened. Yeah,
Yeah. JC, all these JCs out there.
yeah, yeah. A lot of JCs.
Love it, man. This has been really, really fun. I learned a lot, and it's just fun catching up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You as well. I hope I see you at the restaurant now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I'll set my alarm for, the day
No,
that
no,
I
no.
wanna go.
I can help you with that. You don't need to do that.
Okay. Alright, just not 2 weeks out. I'll give you 4 weeks out. How about
No,
that?
no, not even. Like just we'll talk offline. I'll make it happen for you.
Oh, man. You know what? I don't know if I ever told you this in class, but sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know.
It sure is. You know what? That is the unfortunate truth of any business. It still is that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, man. This has been super fun. Please say hi to Marianne for me. I haven't seen her in 23 years too.
I know. I know. She actually said hello as well. I missed her call this morning.
Okay.
Jumping on. So,
No, but I totally remember her. Yeah, she was a cool kid in high school as well. Both of you guys are cool.
but I appreciate that, Chris. Thank you so much.
And everyone out there, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed that chat with Justin. I love catching up with students. It's really, really fun. And the fact that he's doing so well, and if you don't know San Francisco, Happy Crane is getting some serious, serious buzz out there. So I got to get in there one of these days. And now that I know the general manager, that sure helps. The rest of you have to go make reservations 30 days in advance. But yeah, thank you, Justin, for coming on the pod with us. You can reach the restaurant. He said Open Table's the way to go, or you can find them online. For us, you know how to reach us. You can write to us at infatuasianpodcast@gmail.com or send us a DM. I can't get you any restaurant reservations, but you can send me a DM on Facebook or Instagram at Infatuasian Podcast. Thank you all so much for listening out there. We hope that you are having a great, great day or great, great evening. And on behalf of Justin and myself, we hope that you're happy, healthy, and safe out there. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye, everyone.